China's voracious hunger for seafood is straining the limited facilities of South American countries to enforce their maritime boundaries. Countries on the Atlantic and Pacific coasts have been affected, and most of the illegal fishing activity in those areas is done by Chinese vessels. The US has warned China that it'll react to provocative acts by its Coast Guard and fishing boats in the same way it reacts to the Chinese Navy in an attempt to control Beijing's hostile behavior in the South China Sea. The US has been determined to deploy its Coast Guard after accusing Beijing of foul play in the South China Sea in waters Beijing sees as belonging to China. Tensions between the two nations have been growing in recent periods. Hello everyone, welcome to World of China, a channel to explore China. In today's video, we're talking about US Navy arrest and sink 300 China illegal fishing boats, so stay tuned and give this video a big thumbs up. China's large fishing fleets operating along the Pacific coast have triggered concerns from several South American countries for the past few months. In June, about 340 large Chinese trawlers ventured into the waters near Ecuador, triggering objections over possible threats to the Galapagos Island, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and home to many unique species. The appearance of unusual 340 Chinese-flagged fishing boats near Ecuador in summer drew international attention, including from US authorities who have warned about such activity for years. During the period analyzed by Oceana, 30% of the Chinese vessels fishing around Argentina and 21.7% of those that went dark also fished near Ecuador. Recently, the United States Navy's determined move to destroy and sink illegal fishing in South China Sea territory leaves allies wary. Despite the United States having no sovereign claim in any part of the region after moving to police illegal fishing, the US has continued to advance its dominance in the South China Sea areas. In 2019, nearly 800 Chinese vessels seemed to violate UN sanctions that forbid foreign fishing in North Korean waters. The sanctions, imposed in 2017 in response to the country's nuclear tests, intended to punish North Korea by not allowing it to sell fishing rights in its waters in exchange for valuable foreign currency. China's vast fishing fleet, by far the world's largest, has been overfishing seas much farther from the world's gaze than the islands known for their giant tortoises and iguanas. From West Africa's Gulf of Guinea to the Korean Peninsula, the fleet has moved into the waters of other countries, switching off transponders to avoid detection, consuming fish stocks and threatening food security for often poor coastal communities. In East Asia, fishing vessels may act as the vanguard of an aggressive geopolitical strategy aimed at asserting territorial claims. The fleet is a vast and complex network. Among the hundreds of vessels are fuel providers, fishing boats, tender boats, and reefers, some of which camouflage unregistered boats. Many ships spend long periods at sea where shocking human rights violations have been reported. The London-based Overseas Development Institute, or ODI, has documented nearly 17,000 Chinese fishing vessels, making it nearly impossible to adequately monitor all of them worldwide. By contrast, the US Distant Water Fleet comprises 300 boats. In 2017, as part of its 13th Fisheries 5-year plan, China announced plans to cap the size of the fleet to 3,000 vessels by 2020. NGO Global Fishing Watch and the Overseas Development Institute think tank have used cutting-edge technology and data analysis to reveal that the size and scope of China's distant water fleet have been hugely underreported. Tabitha Mallory, an affiliate professor specializing in Chinese foreign and environmental policy at the University of Washington, told it's hard for developing countries to properly monitor coastal waters. The United States has repeatedly blamed China for breaking international law by sending warships as escorts for Chinese fishing vessels into other countries' fishing waters. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said in July that there has been a catalog of bad behavior in the South China Sea over the previous months and blamed the Chinese military for several offenses, including the sinking of a Vietnamese fishing boat. In recent years, the U.S. Navy has regularly conducted what it calls freedom of navigation operations close to some of the islands that China occupies, which have been claimed by other nations. Beijing has reached with anger for their activity. China commands nearly the entire South China Sea, which has been questioned by several nations, including Malaysia, Taiwan, and Indonesia. The US, Japan, and the EU, which make up about 70% of the global seafood market, need to take proactive actions to disrupt Chinese vessels from entering international supply chains. The UN's Food and Agricultural Organization, or FAO, estimates that illegal fishing has an annual cost of up to $23 billion. The FAO also figured that nearly 60 million people worked on fishing or aquaculture in 2016, 85% of them in Asia. Peru's and Ecuador's economies are highly dependent on seafood. In 2018, the two countries captured 4.5 million metric tons of fish, nearly as much as the United States, but only 25% of what China harvested in the same year, according to the statistics from the World Bank. Both countries say China's mega fishing fleets are threatening the security of their food source. China ranks at the top of the world in demand for seafood. The country's fish consumption accounts for one-third of the world's total amount, with an annual growth rate of 6%. Ecuador is one of a few small nation-states that have pushed back against the Chinese flotillas. In the hotly disputed South China Sea, Indonesia sent F-16 fighter jets along with Navy, Coast Guard, and fishing boats to repel 63 Chinese fishing boats and 4 Coast Guard vessels from its waters in January. These Chinese vessels were accused of frequently turning off their satellite-based automatic identification systems and entering the Ecuadorian exclusive economic zone. Yet, Ecuador's Admiral Guinness said no vessels of the fishing fleet entered Ecuadorian waters while operating near the Galapagos. China signed a key UN fish stocks agreement in 1996 but never confirmed it. It's a member of 7 regional fishery management organizations, or RFMOs, but its distant water fleet operates outside of those frameworks. Officials and experts have said rising demand for fish and increased competition over decreasing stocks could spark new conflicts. Many of them have pointed specifically to China. Fishing stocks around China have shrunken dramatically, but Beijing has expanded its distant ocean fishing fleet, and those vessels have been involved in disputes as far afield as Argentina, where the Coast Guard has fired at and sunk them, and in Africa, where Chinese firms are building fish processing facilities. China's self-declared shakeup proposes changes to high seas transshipment rules, the movement of cargo from one vessel to another, along with improvements to distant water fishing. It also announced 2 3-month fishing moratoriums, one west of the Galapagos between September and November, and another beginning in July in the South Atlantic near Argentina. On top of them, the militarization of artificial islands in the South China Sea, Beijing has deployed paramilitary actors. In several incidents involving the US, Vietnam, and the Philippines, Chinese fishing boats have rammed vessels, blocked access to lagoons, harassed ships, and been involved in the seizing of reefs and shoals. The maritime militia has been strengthened since 2015 when it created a headquarters in the China-administered Paracel Islands, a disputed area in the South China Sea that's also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan. It has also received training alongside the Chinese Navy and Coast Guard. In its last annual report on the Chinese military, the Pentagon said the fleet plays a major role in coercive activities to achieve China's political goals without fighting. China has increasingly used the maritime militia because fishing boats are less likely to prompt a military response from the US. But the latest warning significantly raises the stakes for China's non-Navy vessels engaging in aggressive acts. The US Navy has been conducting freedom of navigation operations, whereby it sends warships through disputed waters to prevent a claimer from denying others access in violation of international law. Analysts have long pushed for a more effective US response to counter China's mix of military, paramilitary, and economic coercive measures. Andrew Erickson, a maritime militia expert at the U.S. Naval War College, recently called for the U.S. to deal with China's sea forces holistically and state clearly that it expected China's Navy, Coast Guard, and maritime militia to follow international rules. He added that the U.S. had to accept some friction and force Beijing to choose between de-escalating the preferred U.S. outcome or moving up against the U.S. red line that China would prefer to avoid. The warning from Adam Richardson comes as the U.S. takes a much tougher stand towards China over everything from commercial and traditional espionage to trade, technology, transfer, and intellectual property theft. But some analysts warn that implementing the policy would be challenging. If the U.S. decides to interpret maritime militia vessels as military, that'll lead to increased risk. With U.S. destroyers in the South China Sea and the continuing Chinese maritime militia operations there, things could go bad very quickly. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked this video, then give this video a big thumbs up and share it. For more exciting videos, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. I'll be back with another exciting video soon. Till then, check out our channel for more exciting videos and stay tuned.